The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are.
I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is.
Don't think, feel. It is like a finger pointing away to the moon. Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Welcome, everyone, to the newest episode of Digital Communion. My name is Thomas, and a quick announcement. Oh, it would be most helpful if you could do us a favor and leave us a review on iTunes. It doesn't seem that important to you, but it's tremendously important for the well-being of this show and our ability to get it out there to as many people as possible. So if you could just do us a huge favor and leave a positive review and tell your friends to do the same, we would so much appreciate it. Also, feel free to give us some topic ideas. If there's something in particular you want to hear Nick and I talk about or discuss or pontificate upon, please feel free to pass that along and keep in touch, because we do like to connect and stay connected. Mm-hmm. With that said, Nick, today's question is one that I've been thinking about for the past couple of days, and I'm really hoping for a good result here on the back end. It'll be very telling. And that question is, what is the biggest dream you've given up on, and why?
That's dark, bro. That is dark. Yeah, I know what it is. I used to dream of becoming the jiu-jitsu world champion at black belt. That was my biggest dream for a long, long, long time. And it's not going to happen. And that was tough. That was really tough to accept, but in a way liberating as well. Thank you for that, Thomas. That's a great start to my day. I appreciate that. No, fair enough. Powerful question.
Why? That's the end. So I actually expected you to talk at greater length than that, but that's interesting. So why? When did it become apparent that wasn't going to happen and you're going to have to abandon that lifelong dream?
Yeah, dude, I think it happened when I was about, I would say 30 or so. And I remember I was in a competition. I got pretty far. I got to there was a specific version of the World Championships. The World Championships are kind of similar to boxing in that there are all these different competing organizations that have their own. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like in boxing, there's the WBC, and then there's the IBC, and
all the
etc.
different federations.
Exactly. Yeah. And I qualified for the finals of this big one that was held in Abu Dhabi, and I remember the first guy I fought in the draw was one of the best dudes. In fact, he was voted Jiu-Jitsu Player of the Year in 2012 or 2013, I think. And I just remember, literally during the match, I just realized that this dude was an order of magnitude better than me, and that physically I was just like, this is not a smart move. I just realized I had to start using my abilities and gifts more in a Pareto principle style. And this comes back to something. It's saying, again, I can never remember where this stuff comes from, because it's been years since I probably read this book. But this guy was saying something along the lines of, can you hear that?
Yeah, it's like a snuffleupagus or something.
Yeah, someone's drilling something downstairs. Is it spoiling the audio big time?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. If we could just edit that out and start here.
Sure.
This guy said, people always want to be remembered for everything except the gifts that they've been given or their own abilities. So like if you're a writer, you want to be remembered as a sportsman, or if you're a amazing chef, you want to be remembered as an actor, or etc. Like people just don't want to take what they've been given. And I found that quite interesting. And I guess for me, I'm a reasonably athletic and coordinated guy, but I don't think I have the physical abilities or capabilities that those super athletes have. And it took me a long time to accept that. And when I finally did, I felt a lot better, and a lot free, and a lot more able to focus on the things I am good at. One of them being having conversations with incredibly handsome gentlemen on the other side of the world.
Wow, that's a great answer, and I know we sort of touched on that in one of the earlier episodes about realizing that your physicality is going to change, and you're not going to be. Yeah, at a certain point, you realize that you're kind of moving backwards. But good on you that you got all the way to 30 with that dream intact. I mean, most people's athletic dreams are smashed by the time they're in their early 20s.
Good point. That's a good point.
Most people stop competing in athletics after high school. Very few people even get to do anything athletic in college, and then to go on beyond that, past the university level into the world realm is extraordinary. So you can already count yourself in the 1%.
Thanks, bud. I never thought about it that way. I never thought about that. It's really cool. I mean, I guess it's time for our weekly turnaround, and I have to ask you, what is the one dream that you've given up on, or the most important dream that you've given up on, or the biggest dream you've given up on?
Yeah, so I've never given up any of my dreams.
Yeah, that's why you asked me this question, huh? So you could shove it back in my face.
No, I thought about it because I was like, man, I have to have a good response for Nic, and I pursued music professionally for 10 years in Austin, Texas, and other places, and it's all I wanted. And I was sort of enamored of Jim Morrison when I was in high school, and I kind of fancied myself a poet, and I taught myself guitar, and then wanting to do a record like Lenny Kravitz or Prince, not in those musical styles, but playing all the instruments so I didn't have to rely on everyone else. I taught myself bass and drums, and and I went to really interesting places musically, but at a certain point with the last band, I haven't really talked about this, but with the last band, it seemed like the one with the most potential for commercial success. Mm-hmm. And when it ended, in a really kind of a sour way, I stopped trying to. So the dream was to be to make a living as a musician, as a professional musician. And after that last band split up, I gave up on it. In that, I was like, I'm not done with music, and I'll always make music and always be creative, and that will always be a way to articulate ideas. But it was a big deal for me, man. That was all I cared about for over a decade. So to stop playing music as the primary driving force in my life was really, it was heavy, and I think I was probably kind of sad for a long time after that, in just a way it didn't really have any edges, so that I could say, oh, it's this or that. It was just like a sense of loss, because I had just been focusing on it for so long. It reminded me of like when I'm not comparing myself to this man, but it reminded me of that conversation you had with Dorian Yates, where he talked about when he was done bodybuilding, he didn't really know how to identify anymore. And when I stopped doing music and was like, okay, well, now that I can't rely on bandmates and I'm not going to focus on this thing, I'm going to focus all my attention on acting. And it just wasn't, I love performing in that way, but it's not the same, and anytime I sing in a full voice now, or play with other people and have inklings of what it was like to play live, it lights me up, man, like nothing else. And that's a hard dream to let go of.
Yeah, dude, I hear you. And I will refer you to what I still consider to be the most intelligent and profound thing you ever said to me, which is that every day you give thanks for what you do have, but you also give thanks for what you don't have.
I said that to you?
Yeah.
Jesus, what a genius thing to say.
Yeah.
I'd totally forgotten that.
Yeah, and you said it when we were standing on top of that hill in overlooking the city of Los Angeles that night. And we were pretty stoned, and it was actually, I consider, one of the peak experiences of my life, that event, dude. It was very powerful. And when you said that to me, it always stuck with me. Funny enough, I'm reading a book now called, of all things, it's called The Millionaire Fast Lane, which I'm very much enjoying. And he debunks the what he calls the myth of achieving wealth through doing what you love. And he says one of the reasons you should not try to do that, you should not try to earn a living doing what you love, is because it will kill the love. Because invariably when there's some sort of economic influence or that kind of pressure on the thing you enjoy, it's going to taint it and erode the joy that you experience from it. And maybe this is one of those things, Thomas, like maybe that is the best thing that ever didn't happen to you. Yeah. You could maybe be one of those fucking dudes who's like forced to play the same track he's been playing every fucking week for the last 10 years because it was his band's biggest hit, and he just wants to go home and fucking be able to wake up early in the morning and do his exercise and maybe jam on his guitar for a little bit and, like, you know, live and do the things he enjoys. But no, he's on the road all the time now, and it's become this thing that's bigger than him, that controls him, and that there's all the joy's been sucked out of it. And that's a pretty common story, dude. I mean, I know what's that band, Kings of Leon? Like, they won't even play what was that huge hit, Sex on Fire or something?
Yeah,
they won't even play that
today.
They literally won't play it. Like, they refuse to play it because they just fucking had to play it so many times they started to hate it.
Well, it became their Light My Fire, didn't it? The Doors,
pretty much.
The Doors hated playing Light My Fire. You know, and I was just talking about that the other day. It's like, what a terrible curse to have a hit song, because unless you can keep up any kind of momentum and have people appreciate the broader variety of your work, you'll always be chasing that success or hoping people will listen to your next song with the same ears they had for the last.
Exactly.
You know, what a burden. You're right. Yeah, maybe it's the best thing that never happened to me.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, bud. Well, hopefully you're going to take that and do something awesome with some other aspect of your life. I mean, how good of a musician were you? I'm guessing you were pretty damn good.
You know, clearly not good enough.
You see, I'm going to stop you right there.
I'm just kidding. I wouldn't say that. I think there was a lot of good potential, but the bottom line is, you know, as I'm doing my study, there were a lot of close calls and being aligned with certain people who then did really well, and that just didn't work out. It just, I think most people, look, it just didn't, I don't know. That's a great question. I think I was decent, but not in a way that was commercially viable at the time.
Yeah, and I don't think, dude, there are so many variables, specifically when it comes to something like that all these variables, all the stars have to align. And I mean, you have to work hard. I'm reminded of dude, this was such an influential scene in the film for me. Have you watched Get Him to the Greek?
No.
Oh, you'd love that, dude. So it's about that guy, Russell Brand is the main character. He's a rock star, and Jonah Hill's character is a music industry low-level executive who has to get him. Russell Brand's character is notoriously fickle, and he's a drug addict, and he's just very hard to get to do anything. And this music industry exec has been told that he has to get him to the Greek theater on a certain day by a certain time to perform. And if he doesn't, he's fired. And the shenanigans ensue. And that's the premise of the film. But in the film, he's estranged from his father, and he meets his father, and they're having a drink. And his father makes some sort of comment about, oh, like, I'm not lucky enough to have all the trappings of wealth and success of a rock star like my son. And Russell Brand's character said, yeah, Dad, because I just became a rock star by accident, right? And that, fuck, dude, when I heard that hit me so hard, because it's not only do you have to work incredibly hard, but you have to be in the right place at the right time and know the right people and have the right audience, and all these things have to align. And I think, yeah, dude, it's nothing you need to beat yourself up over, right?
Well, I certainly don't at this point, and if I'm gonna put like a nail in that coffin and just finalize the thought, it's that I pretty much recognized that I wasn't extraordinary at it, and that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think for a long time I thought that it was different enough and cool enough, and the material was, you know, progressive enough that it could be commercially viable, but I never had any illusions that I had like the otherworldly voice like Chris Cornell, you know, from Soundgarden,
Mm-hmm.
or a Robert Plant type voice, or the lyricism, you know, of say a Mos Def or a Lupe Fiasco, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, the guitar playing of on and on and on. I was never extraordinary at any of those things, but I did lots of them. It's kind of like the whole polymath curse
Mm-hmm.
again. It's like, I thought by doing a lot of things really well, or at least moderately well, it would translate to some sort of career as a musician. Just at
Mm-hmm.
least making enough money to get by and get to the next gig. And if just one of those things was extraordinary instead of mostly good,
Mm-hmm.
that might have been the case, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I recognized it, and I was like, okay, I'll always make music, but it's time to step away of trying to pursue this as a way to, you know, pay my rent.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
So yeah, it does. So many
So it's
things.
similar to the way that you realize, hey, look, I'm never going to be the strongest or the fastest or the most kinesthetically inclined and dominate these guys. Like, I can't be number one. I can't be number one in any of that, so
Mm-hmm.
I shut it down.
So many things pop up when you're speaking about that. It's again, there's competing theories. There's Tim Ferriss says the world rewards specialists, and then, you know, we've got Robert Heinlein who says specialization is for insects.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite quotes. And I think that maybe your ticket to success, or the level of success that I know that you are deserving of, is to become the specialist polymath.
Specialist polymath,
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, because if you can become a specialist polymath, I mean, that is, fuck, what a skill, what a gift. I mean, and I don't think you're too far off, bro. I mean, you
What does that look like?
It looks like a very handsome man in a green beanie talking about all the amazing things he's done, dude. I mean, think about how much you know about nutrition and physiology and exercise science and music and drawing and writing. I mean, you are the Renaissance man, dude, and that's a lot better than being some fucking burnt out guy sleeping on a tour van, playing the same tracks over to screaming teenage girls or old 45-year-old groupies or whatever it may be. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
well, thank you very
Yeah.
much for that. The last thing, because, oh man, I know this would be good for a whole other episode, but what then? So we've talked about the biggest dream you've given up on. Can you give, if you don't want to share it, that's fine, but a truncated version of what your next big dream is? What's the next big thing for you? What's the 10x for Nic?
man, I'm gonna keep that one to myself for now.
Right?
But it's
Okay.
pretty cool. It's pretty
like
cool.
it.
You're a part of it as well.
Really?
Yeah. Big
Can't
part.
wait to hear it.
Yeah, but Cool.
Okay.
So, but I kind of have to go because I'm sure the listeners can hear this awesome drilling sound as well. Are you picking it up on?
Yeah, you're getting like some dental work or something.
Dude, it feels like I'm getting some dental work. I'm staying in this weird little retreat, literally on a mountainside, and they just decide to do this handiwork at all odd hours, and I think there's a guy directly beneath me with a drill. So I apologize to any of the listeners if you're getting that, if this episode's audio has been compromised. I literally just got a cool little new mic that one of our listeners, a guy called Vic, thank you Vic, he sent that to me as a gift, because I know my audio quality has been pretty poor, and we're, as luck would have it, the first or second day we decide to use it, this happens, right? I guess it's just the nature of life.
That's right. It's well, thank you, Vic, for that. That's great. Turns out it picks out every bit of peripheral improvement that's going on in Japan, in addition to our conversation.
Yeah. Okay, but so until next time.
Peace be with you. Be well. Happy 2016 year of the Red Fire Monkey.
Indeed. And in honor of the release of The Force Awakens, may the Force be with you.
And also with you.
Later, bud.
Bye.